Before we begin the meeting today, I would like to take this opportunity to request a moment of reflection and respect as we mourn the tragic loss of lives and injuries and extend our deepest sympathies to the victims, their families and friends in the recent Las Vegas massacre. And the family of Bill Wolf Jr., the Shippensburg area Little League baseball and wrestling coach, who was one of the 58 people killed in Las Vegas, in our thoughts and prayers. We commend the heroic actions and courage of the rescue workers, volunteers, ordinary citizens, and government officials at the worst of times. And as we struggle to return to normalcy, we look to the wisdom of our national leaders who are resolved to not allow this event to change our way of life and restrict our freedoms. At this time, please rise and join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Please remain standing and join me in the pledge of allegiance by saying,
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I call this meeting to order at 1:34 p.m. and at this time open up the floor to public comment. Hearing none, seeing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 3 and begin with Commissioner DiFilippo presenting a proclamation regarding Pennsylvania Health Choices and Behavioral Health Program's 20th anniversary to Sylvia Herman and Jack Carroll. Sylvia and Jack, please come forward.
Yes, we have a proclamation today in recognition of Pennsylvania Health Choices Behavioral Health Program 20th anniversary. Whereas this year marks the 20th anniversary since the beginning of Health Choices Behavioral Health Program in Pennsylvania, and the 16th year of the program in Cumberland County. And this program has transformed the behavioral health system, improved the lives of 2.4 million Pennsylvanians, and saved taxpayers billions of dollars. And whereas Health Choices has proven to be an innovative and effective program which delivers high-quality, cost-effective services which are developed and customized at the local level so each county can implement programs needed by their constituents. And whereas here in Cumberland County, Behavioral Health Choices has expanded the provider network, supported the implementation of evidence-based practices, developed respite services, initiated transitional support for adolescents, provided housing opportunities, expanded medication-assisted treatment, developed a recovery specialist program, expanded recovery houses, provided scholarships for recovery houses and startup for recovery centers, expanded school-based outpatient services, and provided startup funding for mobile psychiatric nursing, a dual MHIED team, and assertive community treatment teams. And whereas Health Choices has become a bipartisan effort supported by legislators from both parties, launched under Republican Governor Tom Ridge, fully implemented under Democratic Governor Ed Rendell, and supported by each succeeding governor. And whereas the need for well-managed behavioral health services continues to be high across the Commonwealth and Cumberland County, the continued success of Health Choices is vital to effectively meet the needs of individuals experiencing behavioral health challenges. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the County of Cumberland does hereby celebrate the 20th anniversary of this program and the contributions that this county-managed system has made in expanding access to care, improving the quality of care for those with behavioral needs, health needs, and saving costs to taxpayers. Presented this 5th day of October from the Cumberland County Commissioners. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Right, thank you.
I just really want to commend the Cumberland County Board of Commissioners for acknowledging Health Choices and for their strong support that allows us to move forward and continue working with this program. So thank you.
Thank you.
All I would add is I think the state's decision 20 years ago, when they recognized the need to institute managed care for medical assistance services, one of their best choices was to give counties the first opportunity to manage the behavioral health part of that medical assistance benefit, because we were already doing it for base funding funds, and so it allowed us to do a much better job of coordinating services.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
Okay, next we move on to agenda items 4, contracts and grants. Agenda items 4, Roman numeral 1, A through C are existing contracts, contract extensions, or addenda with no additional cost or increase to the county. They include the following departments: children and youth agreement, court administration agreement, and HIDB agreement. Commissioners, do you have any questions, comments, or concerns regarding any of these agreements? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to agenda item 4, Roman numeral 2, which consists of new contracts, vendors, services, grants, and contracts with increases and decreases to the county. We begin by calling on Sandy Guerreri, who is joining us via video teleconferencing to discuss the 2 agreements for aid and community services. Sandy?
Yes, hello. I'm requesting an extension for 2 contracts with our senior center providers, one with East Pennsburg Township Commissioners, which is the Mary Shaner Center in NOLA, and visiting nurses in Central Pennsylvania, which is the New Cumberland Senior Center, West Shore Senior Center in New Cumberland. Any questions?
No questions? Okay, thank you, Sandy.
Thank you.
Next I'll call on Lisa Ryder, who's here to discuss the 2 agreements for children and youth. Lisa?
Good morning, Commissioners. Good afternoon. Here to ask for approval of 2 contracts for fiscal year 17-18. Alternative behavior consultants, we're adding an out-of-county travel rate for if they have to go out of the county to provide the service. It was accidentally missed in their original contract. And the second one is preventative aftercare. They provide in-home services to help keep kids in their home instead of in placement. They're asking for a rate increase of 1.99% or 91 cents for their intensive services program, and 2.01%, which is 90 cents, to their prison visitation program.
Does anyone have any questions for Lisa? Thank you, Lisa. Next, I'll call on Charlie Hall to discuss the agreement between the coroner and Cordier Auctions. Charlie?
Good afternoon, Commissioner. This is a contract with Cordier Auctions, so we may utilize their services to dispose of all the weapons that the coroner's office has accumulated over the last 30 to 40 years used in suicide. And it's my understanding that under the law, the only way we can dispose of them legally is to auction them with the money going to the general fund of the county. I did the research on the auctioneers. Cordier Auctions is in Harrisburg, and they specialize in firearms. They take care of everything. They have their federal firearms licenses. They take care of all the background checks and all the transfers necessary when the guns are sold. They take care of all the advertising, and they charge a 20% commission of the total sale when it's done. So, and your solicitor has reviewed it, my solicitor has reviewed it, and neither one has a problem with it.
Charlie, do they do that at their location?
Yes, they come to my office and pick everything up, take it back to their facility, they clean the guns all up, photograph them, put them on the internet for bid. Plus, people bid in person the day of the auction or by telephone the day of the auction. So they take care of everything.
Did you check with the sheriff's department at all to see if they could dispose of the guns? I know they take guns and take them to Frog Switch and then
We can't do that. Under the law, the coroner has to sell them with the money going to the general fund account.
What does Frog Switch do?
They take them,
They double down.
Okay.
And I think I have the original copy. I think you probably have one of the other copies of both copies in that sign, so.
thank you. Any other questions, Commissioners?
Just a question. How long does something like that happen? You count best evidence before?
A year.
Just 1 year?
Yeah, but when I took over as coroner in 2012, I stopped the practice of taking the guns.
You do it?
I stopped the practice of us taking the guns. I let the police department, whatever jurisdiction the suicide's in, take care of the gun. They can get rid of them a whole lot easier than I can. So we haven't accumulated maybe one since I've been coroner. The rest have all been accumulated under the previous coroners over the last 30 to 40 years.
Charlie, if I could, do you want what's left over and not sold to be discarded by the auctioneer, or do you want them to be returned to the county?
I think we can let them discard them.
Okay.
You know, and here's the other sheet of that too. Those sheets need to be signed.
Any other questions for Charlie? Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks.
Next, I'd like to call on Eric Radovich. Oh, Jane. Okay. To discuss the PCCD second-year laboratory accreditation grant. The grant is in the amount of $94,150. Commissioners, please note that this is an action requested item for today. Jamie?
Thank you. This is Chris McGuff from Milan as well. So this is the second year of accreditation that we're seeking. This is a PCCD grant in the amount of $94,150, which is an increase since last year because we're actually going through the entire year this time as opposed to since April the year before that. This accreditation process is what we've been going through that the Department of Justice has recommended. There's only 4 labs in the Commonwealth that is going through this process. One's state police, one's Philadelphia, one is us, and I'm trying to think of Allegheny County. So this is just continuing with this. This is a no-match grant. So it's straight from PCCD, and I go through all the processes for the forensic lab as well.
Any questions? Thank you.
Action is requested.
Yes, please.
Is there a motion for approval?
So,
Is there a second?
second.
Any questions or comments on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Next, I'd like to call Michelle Seibert to discuss the emerging CACs and MDIT's grants in the amount of $40,000. Michelle?
Hi, I applied for a $40,000 grant, emerging CACs and MDITs, and I was granted that money. So I just need your final approval.
And it's okay for two. No.
My name's not on it, so.
Are there any questions, Commissioners? Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Next, I'll call on John Law, who's joining us via video teleconferencing to discuss the agreement between the facilities and Brown Mason. John?
Yes, good afternoon, Commissioners. This is an agreement with Rowe Masonry for $7,200 to reform the chimney at the old courthouse.
Any questions for John?
Is the chimney leaking, John? Is the chimney leaking, John? John, is the chimney leaking?
What was that?
Why is it being repointed? Is it
What was
leaking?
that? I'm sorry?
It's okay. I'll go ahead.
Is it leaking, John?
Okay. We did get one other quote, it was $12,500. So,
Okay, thanks.
Okay, next I'll call on Kurt Stoner, who will be discussing the PennDOT grant amendment for Craighead Bridge.
Commissioners, good news, we opened Craighead Bridge today at 8 a.m., so we've been working on that one a while.
There goes my workshop report.
I was the first one across it, so I was proud. My wife wanted to be the first, but I took that on. So, it's open, it looks great. I have some pictures we'll put out on Facebook later today, but job all done by Kinsley, HRG, everybody involved. We're cleaning up the final contract, a few change orders through the process. We have the PennDOT grant agreement that we need to amend. It's a reimbursement agreement for $240,000. There was some extensive pile driving that needed to be done. We had some rock. We were driving the piles for the south abutment. We also had to build a runaround road. The township had a small bridge. It's just south of ours. It was weight restricted. We couldn't bring our equipment in over it, so we had to have the contractor build a new road to be able to access our bridge, put in all the paving and fill it. So this should hopefully wrap up Craighead Bridge and be able to get final payments and call it a day on that one.
Kirk, what's the status of our, the incentive, $5 million incentive reward payment that we were supposed to receive by moving forward with the $5 vehicle registration fee and also advancing our capital project? It was the bundling effort, I think, and we just sent a letter. We put together a proposal, sent a letter to PennDOT. What's the status of it?
Sure, that's in process. We met with PennDOT 2 weeks ago to talk about our scheduling of our project, and it basically gives us the go-ahead at that meeting. So we're working on all the reimbursement agreements and paperwork that needs to be added.
So it has been officially approved then?
Yeah, ready to go.
Thank you, Kurt. Next, I'd like to call on Sylvia Herman, who will be discussing the MHIDD agreements as follows. There are 2 agreements for fiscal year 2017-18 for early intervention, and 4 agreements for fiscal year 2017-18 for mental health. Sylvia?
Okay. Seems like somebody's here weekly for early intervention contracts. So this is an amendment to current year contracts. Both increases for services authorized in Pelican, which is the state system. The first is for speech therapy from Advanta. The second is early intervention specialist, and that's occupational and speech, special instruction, and special instruction behavior. The next 4 contracts are amendments to 16-17 contracts. They are all mental health contracts. They are all for services provided in excess of initial contract amount. So these are increases, amendments for last year for services that providers provided that were over the contract amount. And we do have the funds to pay that.
Anyone have any questions for Sylvia? Thank you, Sylvia. Next, I'll call on Kirk again to discuss the FEMA hazardous mitigation grant in the amount of $50,000 and the Pennsylvania Environmental Council grant in the amount of $2,222.
Okay, Commissioners, first one there is the FEMA hazard mitigation grant. Planning Department works in partnership with the Department of Public Safety to create our hazard mitigation plans. It's a countywide plan that looks at all the natural and man-made hazards that the county faces. It looks at ways to minimize our risk to loss of life and property due to those hazards. It's a required plan through the feds that like to have that plan on record, so that we have to have that if we're going to get any sort of pre or post disaster mitigation funding from FEMA. We need to have that plan in effect and adopted by our municipalities. So we do it on behalf of the county. Our municipalities end up adopting it through us as well. And again, I think the critical part is it enables us then to secure federal funding for disaster mitigation. We're requesting a grant of $50,000. There's no general fund in this. What we're going to do this time around, we've updated this plan 3 times. We're going to attempt to do it in-house this time. So using the planning department staff along with the Department of Public Safety and GIS, update the plan in-house on our own time. But the good part is that through FEMA, we'll be able to be reimbursed for our time for it. So instead of having an outlay of general fund dollars, it's our hope that we do it in-house. We can submit reimbursement to FEMA then to reimburse us for our staff time. So we're hopeful that out of this grant, the match on is 25%. We can be reimbursed for up to the 75% of that $50,000 for our time. The rest of our time then counts as the 25% match. This won't get started until probably next year. It's a federal grant. FEMA obviously has other things going on right now as well. So we're hopeful that by next year around this time, we'll be able to start and update the plan over the course of a year to 18 months.
Yeah, FEMA will have more money on
Okay, second piece there, Pennsylvania Environmental Council grant, $2,200 there. It's to update our Cumberland Winter Park Trail Guide. No general fund contribution to this. We get the grant from PEC, Cumberland Valley Visitors Bureau, to put a little money into it. And we're using some of our staff time and communications to help you with the layout and design of that guide. Very popular publication, flies off the shelf along with the Yellow Reaches Water Program.
Any questions for Keith? Or Kirk?
Thanks, Mark.
Kirk. You're welcome. Next, I'd like to call on Solicitor Brenneman to discuss the Cumberland County Tax Claim Bureau repository sale. Keith?
Commissioners, you're familiar with this. This happens frequently. Properties that do not sell at the upset sale and also do not sell at the later judicial sale go into the repository of unsold properties. The Tax Claim Bureau, and once bids come in, the law requires that all the taxing districts in which the property is located must consent to a sale. By you consenting to the sale, you allow the properties to go back on the tax rolls and be subject to the real estate tax.
Any questions for Keith? Thank you, Keith. Next, I'd like to call on Sandy Guerrero, joining us once again via video teleconferencing for discussion of the Senior Community Service Employment Program. Sandy?
Yes, hello again, Commissioners. This is an opportunity for us to work with the Senior Community Service Employment, having a trainee come to our office about 20 hours a week and provide us assistance with clerical work. They are considered a trainee. They're paid, their salary and everything is paid by associates for training and development. This is a federally funded job training program for older adults age 55 plus, unemployed, low income older adults. We would have jobs available for them that we've already earmarked that they would be able to do. It's all clerical work. And they are here about a year maximum. The whole goal of the program is to get them gainfully employed in the community.
Any questions?
We have paperwork, of course, it's an agreement that I would need to sign with the supervisor of the program who works out of the career link in Carlisle.
Sandy, when's this program supposed to start?
Well, they have employees all the time, I mean, trainees available at all times, and they have someone actually ready to go out of the career link. So if, you know, if we could get the paperwork moved through, we would be able to start in the very near future.
Okay. Any other questions?
It's an ongoing program.
Yeah, while we have Sandy back here. Sandy, could we back up to the grants for the
Okay.
senior centers?
Sure.
Okay, I just was curious, can you describe, because I think that the contracts are being increased for both the senior center in Enola and also for the senior center at New Cumberland. Can you tell us as to how those adjustments are being made and what they're for?
Yeah, the bottom line is we had funds available through the department that instead of returning to the department, we were able to discuss with the senior centers. So we've actually, I think, presented some other senior centers and maybe one or more to come of things that they would benefit from. A new flooring, things like center improvements that they had asked for, and we were able to, we had the funds available, so we were able to provide.
Okay, so, but I guess my question, just to be fair around the county, this has been presented to all the senior centers in terms of the availability of some additional funds to take care of some projects?
Yes, and Yes, and I think that they're kind of, we're just, as they dribble in, we're presenting them. Yeah, this is two, we're all 6 centers. I think 5 of the 6 have taken advantage of the additional funding.
It's not necessarily just for operating expenses then. These are, the additional funds are for certain improvements?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Sandy.
Okay, thank you.
Next, I'd like to call on Carl Goshorn and Kirk Stone, who will be discussing the vehicle transfer from the Conservation District to the Planning Department.
Good afternoon. I'm seeking approval from the Commissioners to transfer an asset from the Conservation District over to the Planning Department and Recycling Office. The asset is a 2003 Ford Explorer, which we are replacing that. We have an order in now for a new Explorer. And I think what prompted this is we noticed how many meetings that the Planning Department goes to, municipal meetings, plus the opening of the recycling center. We saw Justin Miller, how many trips he makes back and forth. He's had to borrow our vehicles a number of times to take stuff over to the recycling center. So our board of directors voted a couple weeks ago agreeing to the transfer of our asset to the Planning Department.
And we're in favor of that.
Kirk likes to refer to me as Uncle Carl, as his rich uncle bearing gifts.
It would be my privilege on Monday to vote for this a second time.
Thank you, Carl.
Just want you to know that, Kirk.
Next, Kirk will be providing an update regarding the Slate Hill Road Bridge project. Kirk?
Sure. Commissioners, as you're aware, last week, York County closed Slate Hill Road Bridge in Lower Allen Township. Had some structural issues. Talked to York County. They're going to pass an emergency resolution to do an emergency fix on the bridge. Cost of this is going to be under $50,000. So as they get the numbers worked out, we can bring it back here for our approval as well. It's budgeted for. We have that in place. That's the short term. Long term, we need to think about what we want to do long term on the bridge. I believe it made the board aware. The York County Commissioners had discussed the issue of rehabbing the bridge at some point. They agreed to rehab the bridge at Fairview Township and Lower Allen Township, agreed to take ownership of the bridge in the future. We took that issue to Lower Allen Township. I believe they're going to look at it maybe even this evening. I didn't get a real warm response from the manager. I wanted to take ownership over that. Fairview Township has already expressed no interest in maintaining the bridge over the long term and owning it. So we have to think then as Cumberland County working with York County, what do we want to do with Slate Hill Road Bridge? It's going to clearly need work in the future. If the municipalities aren't going to own and maintain it, that may be an issue we need to work with York County on. Typically, for the infrastructure that we've owned, we've never had some sort of requirement where the municipalities take it back over. There's not a strong incentive for any of our municipalities to do that. It's cost, it's a headache. So if that's going to be a requirement in the future, we'll have to discuss that with York County and see if we can find some other way to work on that bridge. Not asking for action today, just present it to you for any questions, discussion you may have, but we'll probably be coming back to revisit that in the future.
Kirk, how old a bridge is that, you know, roughly?
Yeah, it's late 1800s on that. It's a stone arch bridge, so it's, it gets a lot, it's 3-ton weight posting, and we're getting a lot of heavy vehicles that are using it. They shouldn't be using it down there, so it really takes a beating.
Any questions? Other questions? Thank you, Captain Kirk.
Captain Kirk.
Next, Barbara will be providing information on the CNRC policy signature updates.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Yes, we're seeking your approval and signatures on our annual reaffirmation of our equal opportunity employment policy, our admissions policy, and our notice of non-discrimination. There are no adjustments to the statements or the policies, and these are required postings in Claremont.
Any questions for Bob? Thank you, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
These are
Next upon Bob Shaw, they discuss the request for authorization to advertise the Cumberland County signal enhancing equipment ordinance. Bob?
Brian did most of the work, so I'm going to pass it.
Okay, Brian.
Good afternoon. We're just requesting your authorization to advertise this ordinance that we worked with Solicitor Brennan to put together. And this has to do with in-building coverage throughout the county. If a municipality would choose to enact an ordinance, this provides some standards for them, as well as a little bit of governance and template to help them build that ordinance.
Okay, I just have a question. Would it help at all to authorize the advertisement today? Because I know we have like, a 7-day period or something like that.
Yeah, I don't believe it would, only because your next meeting, I have to know when your next workshop meeting is past this coming Monday to know if it'll be of any benefit. October 19, 12. We could get it in time for adoption on 19th if it's important.
Yeah, I know this is something that Upper Allen Township has been looking for. We promised action by the end of September, and we'll get beyond that. But I mean, it's all in the works, I think everything's fine. So if it's in order, I would like to make the motion to authorize the advertisement of the Cumberland County Signal Enhancing Equipment Ordinance.
Keith, this ordinance requires a public hearing, correct?
It does not.
It does not.
Just a public notice and adoption.
Okay, very good.
It's the timeframe, right? 7 days, and has to take.
Right, between publication and adoption.
Okay. So you need
7 days must pass.
Okay.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Ryan. Next, we'll call on Mark Adams to discuss the capital project request for INTO for the computer fall life cycle for the 2017 project. Total project cost is $78,000. Mark?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is our standard computer lifecycle process. This is the second half of this year. We're asking for the capital money to be approved for replacement of 74 computers at a cost of $78,000 total. There is a spreadsheet there, I think, with this capital, if you want to look at the departments that are going to be getting new computers in the fall. Every year, we replace about 1/5 of our computers every 5. If the computers are 5 years old, we replace those. And the ones that are still in decent working order go toward a public computer or a shared computer that the department may have. So we do reuse as we are able.
Just so you know, I'm not giving Larry's computer back. I'm keeping it. Thank you, Mark. Next, I'd like to call on Commissioner DiFilippo, who will be announcing the recommendation for reappointment to the Cumberland County Drug and Alcohol Commission. Commissioner DiFilippo?
Yeah, the information's in our packet, guys. Jack Carroll strongly recommends that Carol Madden be reappointed. She's eligible for a second 3-year term that would begin November 1st of this year and expire the end of October 2020. And we can take action on that.
Thank you, Commissioner
Thank you.
DiFilippo. Next, Commissioner Eichelberger will be announcing the recommendation for appointment to the South Central Workforce Development Board. Commissioner Eichelberger.
Yeah, I think everybody has paperwork. I don't have the paperwork on it with me for some reason, but the Workforce Investment Board that's the private sector side of the board, and there's the side that we have a seat on, which I sit on. So this is the private sector side. And Linda Morris is the candidate who's presented to us. Who's president we have, and this term would be 4 years, effective through June 30, 2021. And that can be to Linda as well. If there are any questions on that candidate.
Just out of curiosity, we got a letter of recommendation from the West Shore Chamber. Is that the normal process in terms of chamber making recommendation for nomination?
I think on occasion we'll get recommendations from any organization. I don't recall chamber recommendations in the past, but
yeah, I'm fine with it. I just didn't know whether that was the.
yeah, I don't recall chamber recommendations.
Okay, well, that's good. Glad to know that the West Shore Chamber is
Yeah,
that's good.
Credentials.
I know they've had some difficulty finding candidates in the past, so there's a good chance they went through the chamber to find a candidate. And they're very conscientious of West Shore, so I'm sure they
I know
know.
they're good.
Thank you, Commissioner Eichelberger. move on to the Commissioners' Liaison Report, reading of Commissioner DeFilippo.
Yes, thanks, Sandy. I have one for drug and alcohol for their September meeting. The state budget was discussed. Also noted that the proposed consolidation of state health and human services agencies does not appear to be likely this fiscal year. Ongoing healthcare reform efforts at the federal level were discussed. Again, emphasized that the MA expansion played a crucial role in helping more Cumberland and Perry County residents gain access to substance abuse treatment in the midst of our current opiate epidemic. The state's new prescription drug monitoring program has now been in operation for a year, and it's been reported that there are 93,000 registered users, and that there are an average of, scribbled out the amount, anyway, a lot of patient searches per day on weekdays. Early indications are that the new system is significantly decreasing the number of Pennsylvanians who are receiving prescriptions for opiate painkillers from multiple doctors, so that is very good news. Recent efforts to initiate lawsuits against some pharmaceutical companies who have contributed to the current opiate health crisis were discussed. CCAP passed a resolution at its recent annual conference supporting litigation efforts and urging counties to be primary participants. I know just today we got a message from Jeff Carroll. The advisory board voted to ask both Cumberland and Perry County commissioners to have their respective solicitor, Keith, I think I forwarded it to you, to look into the possibility of each county becoming a plaintiff in some pending lawsuits on a contingency-only basis. And that is it for drug and alcohol, and that's it for me.
Thank you, Commissioner DeFilippo. Commissioner Herzog?
Okay, thanks, Sandy. It's been a busy couple of weeks, which for me, getting around the county, a lot of different meetings. Housing Redevelopment Authority boards met Thursday, September 21. Closing has occurred on the 52-unit Carlisle Townhomes project. In fact, on behalf of my colleagues here, I attended the groundbreaking ceremony on Monday morning for the project at the former Carlisle Tire and Wheel site. This is the first major project to actually get underway as part of Carlisle's redevelopment of brownfield sites in the borough. The public-private partnership project being developed by the Ohio company known as Pearl calls for so-called workforce housing with affordable rents and also a rent-to-own option for tenants in the future. The Housing Authority's Housing Choice Voucher Program, which I've talked about repeatedly in these liaison reports, remains in a federal funding shortfall, and leased units continue to be reduced by attrition. There is a new concern over how to stretch available resources, as there has been a considerable increase in fair market rental rates, which in effect means that more subsidy will be required to keep rents affordable for low-income citizens who otherwise could find themselves homeless. The Harrisburg Area Transportation Study Coordinating Committee met on Friday, September 22nd. In attendance were a couple of Camp Hill residents who were part of a grassroots group known as the Cumberland Boulevard Improvement Task Force. They're engaged in an effort to seek safety improvements along the heavily traveled Camp Hill bypass from the Harvey Taylor Bridge to the intersection with Route 581. And as I understand, PennDOT has agreed to undertake a safety audit along the artery, which handles up to 39,000 vehicles a day. The effort by the folks from Camp Hill was sparked in part by the death last year of a Camp Hill resident who was struck and killed by a drunk driver while walking her dog. Camp Hill is an interesting situation in that the borough is actually divided in two by the bypass. There's no school buses in Camp Hill Borough. There are 2 underpasses, but there's no question that the increased traffic represents a potential safety hazard. So I'm hopeful that the PennDOT safety audit can be conducted and hopefully the concerns can be addressed. I joined Commissioner DiFilippo in attending the annual dinner meeting of the Cumberland County Farm Bureau on September 25 at the Penn Township Fire Company. Stephanie Williams of our staff did an outstanding job in updating the Farm Bureau on our county's farmland preservation effort and in our celebration of the program's 25th anniversary. I will also note that among the policy recommendations approved by the county's Farm Bureau at their meeting was a proposal for a limited sales tax for a dollar-for-dollar reduction in homestead, farmstead property taxes. A proposal that was in a policy position that was music to my ears and is right in sync with elements of the policy platform of the County Commissioners Association and the Association's Assessment and Taxation Committee that I chair. I attend our county's local housing options team forum and its general session on Tuesday morning, September 26th in Hampton Township. This was a gathering of various government and not-for-profit entities throughout our county that are engaged in helping combat homelessness in our community. The event was well attended. Keynote speakers were Patrice Pickering, the interim president of our local housing options team, also county employee Tim Whalen, the executive director of the county's Housing and Redevelopment Authority, and Ben Loudermilk, the executive director of the state, the executive housing director of the State Department of Human Services. The Cumberland County Conservation District Board met Tuesday, September 26th. Concerns were voiced over potential state raids on funds that could jeopardize conservation district programs. In addition, there was a report on the first full year of compliance inspections of farms under the new Chesapeake Bay protection effort. And the good news is that of the 50 farms and 5,500 acres inspected by conservation district staff in fiscal 2016-17, a majority of the farms, 54%, that were found out of compliance were actually brought into compliance by the end of the fiscal year. And most of the rest are taking action to meet the manure management and ag erosion and sedimentation compliance requirements. There are less than a handful of farms that are facing enforcement actions and potential penalties from DEP. And I think this is a testament to our conservation district employees working with the farm community and trying to bring folks into compliance as opposed to the alternative, which is the heavy hand of government. And so I think that's a real positive on behalf of what our conservation district is doing and how we're handling these issues. And Carl, I know that, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I know that you were willing to make a presentation. Is there anything that I left out that you'd like to add to the?
No, I just think, there were 9 conservation districts across the state in the Chesapeake Bay Greens that decided not to take on the program because they didn't want to do the inspection, and they were fearful that it would be a negative with the farming community. But I think it's mostly been a positive thing. We've got a lot of relations built by farmers because we wrote manure management plans, got our ag E&S plans. There appears to be only 2 farmers out of the first 50 we inspected that do not want to come into compliance, and we might have to refer them to DEP to get them into compliance. But, so it's not as bad as what some of these conservation districts were thinking up front. So we built some relationships. We'll probably be able to get more ag best management practices put in on some of these farms that we hadn't been in touch with in the past.
Yeah. I think what's good about our effort here is that instead of some, no-name bureaucrat from DEP coming in, that, our conservation district folks are actually working with our farmers to help bring them into compliance. So, and I think it's worked very well, at least initially here. And I think, by and large, I think our farmers want to do the right thing anyway. So, so they're dotting the i's and crossing the t's, and it means less erosion, and it also means less pollution for our local streams and rivers, and ultimately to help protect the Chesapeake Bay. Thursday morning, September 28th, I attended a legislative meeting of the West Shore Chamber of Commerce and relayed the details about our county's workforce and development initiatives. And the West Shore Chamber folks were very supportive of that initiative and what we're doing here in the county to meet the workforce demands of our employers. On Thursday afternoon, I attended the Friends of Claremont meeting to hear an update on their progress in support of our nursing home. And also this past week, Messiah Lifeways announced that it will be transferring its sponsorship of the Branch Creek Place Senior Center in Shippensburg to Menno Haven, effective January 1. Our Office of Aging is working on the new contract and to provide for a smooth transition to the new sponsor. And I just want to say that I think that, first of all, Messiah Lifeways has done an outstanding job in support of our senior programs. They continue to sponsor our Mechanicsburg Senior Citizen Center. And I was very appreciative of the fact that even though they decided that after 5 years they no longer wanted to sponsor the Shippensburg Center, that they secured a follow-up sponsor to take their place. So hopefully that will go well, and I know the seniors in Shippensburg will be notified of the transition as well. And I think that's all.
Thank you, Commissioner Hudson. Commissioner Eichelberger.
Okay, most of the things that I was involved in the last 2 weeks, you guys were involved in as well, so I don't have a whole lot I can point out. A couple of things I did want to touch base on. I don't think anybody else mentioned the fact that we were all in attendance this morning with the Cumberland County Township Supervisors Association. And this is the 102nd year that they've held their annual get-together. So they do this every year. We had a wonderful opportunity to speak both collectively and individually with a lot of our area supervisors. The county is well represented out there with planning, our planning function, and other areas where we get a lot of interaction with municipal governments. Bob, were you guys out there at all?
Not this year.
Not this year, okay. And we were in a new location, which is what's the name of it? Linda Pollard, who's our own county's fiscal agent, one of the owners of the property, just an absolutely gorgeous gathering place in, which township is that? North Newton, okay. So,
Just north of Newville.
That's just north of Newville, yeah. So that was a great opportunity, and to use it as a chance. All of us gave folks pretty wide-ranging, the limited time we had, pretty wide-ranging overview on some of the issues the county's been working on, and apprising them of some of the situations too that they need to be aware of in terms of their well-being, particularly state funding related issues. So we got a good chance to at least have one of our state representatives hear from us on some of our concerns. The others were busy elsewhere, I guess. So anyhow, so that was a nice opportunity. I'm glad all three of us could be there. I think that went very well. The other item I have is just a couple of quick updates from the MHIED board meeting a week and a half ago. The board reorganization took place. That occupied a good portion of our meeting, but there were a couple other things. Of course, fiscal update, and Linda had mentioned to us at the time, it would probably be another month till we got our allocation letter, but she told me this morning that they've gotten it, so they've essentially gotten approvals for their funding and their base funding now for the year. So that's a little earlier than expected, but extended acute unit that's being phased out, so we just kept us surprised to that. It was pretty much the same information. First week October, this week is Mental Illness Awareness Week, and the annual Candlelight Vigil is actually tomorrow night. It's going to be at the Perry County Courthouse. I'm not able to attend if anybody else would like to go. It's at 6 p.m. MH and IDD are partnering with Public Safety to host an all-hazards planning training for residential providers in both the mental health and the intellectual disabilities area, and that workshop is next Friday. Also, next Friday is, I think we all got an email on this today, but the Craighead Bridge that Kirk referenced earlier, as there's going to be a less official transfer ceremony next Friday. Hopefully we attend or have some.
That's to the working bridges?
That's the working bridges, okay, yeah. So we got an email with details on that today. I just want to draw your attention to it if you haven't seen it already. So that's continuation of the saga of the bridges. Let's see. Also, yesterday, Commissioner Hertzer and I were able to attend the legislative meeting at Simpson Library in Mechanicsburg had. That's always a great opportunity to just hear from some really articulate young people and their parents regarding the value of the library, and which is in my hometown. And we also get to just really network with some really terrific people who volunteer their time very selflessly for that very well supported institution. And it also gave them an opportunity to remind me that my friend's membership had expired, and that they made sure I had a membership card for renewal, so it was time well spent for me. I'll check some of it. That's pretty much all the meetings. I did want to just mention in passing, we had some email exchange on this, but there's been a lot of discussion lately about possibly a shared regional business attraction effort. And the discussion has been catalyzed by this discussion regarding Amazon trying to find trying to find a second headquarters somewhere in the United States, and some local expressions of interest in whether that was possible or not. And that did help us sort of resurrect an issue that's been around for a while regarding a regional response. There was an effort about 20 years ago under the Smart Market label to try to do something of that nature, and it failed to get much support or attention. But because we don't want to be the kind of people who say somebody tried that and it didn't work, we're going to revisit that idea and see if there's some potential for cooperation among counties for perhaps future opportunities in which that would be sizable enough that multiple counties would benefit and may want to participate in a bid for some company. So I had a little discussion with John Bowser at Cumberland, and I think I mentioned to you folks that I would like that to be a topic next time we pull I'm working on getting a date for our South Central Caucus of County Commissioners, and I would think that might be a good topic for us at least to have a preliminary discussion on, and then give some direction to our economic development directors in each of our counties to see if there's a workable solution there. What made the Smart Market effort fail was there was not a budget item to allow for a structure to be put in place and other resources to be brought to bear. I think we can revisit that perhaps, instead of looking at how do we build a structure to do this, maybe having something like a template developed can be an off-the-shelf, to some degree, an off-the-shelf item that we can then pull down and customize without having a permanent bureaucracy in place that similar to what Smart Market might have envisioned. So I think there's a lot of room for discussion on this and a lot of potential, and I would not want to see us miss the opportunity, because right now this issue seems to have people's attention, and I think it would be a good time for us to revisit that. So not much happening right now, but I think we'll be hearing more on that in the coming weeks and months. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. I I would like to report that the executive sessions were held on the following dates: September 25th, 2017 at 12:30 p.m., September 29th, 2017 at 8:30 a.m., October 3rd, 2017 at 11:10 a.m., all regarding personnel issues, October 2nd, 2017 at 9:30 a.m. regarding potential litigation. I'd also like to request an executive session be held directly after this meeting regarding personnel issues. Is there any other business to bring before the Board of Commissioners today? Hearing none, we are adjourned.